We're going to come right back to you. Joann?
I was wanted to ask Sharon and Lacey, the BLM is ran under the treaties, and it's a mutual agreement with the federal government, which is, the federal government oversees the Department of Interior and the Department of the BLM. I agree with your investigation. Do you agree that should the BLM, the head BLM, be fired and brought charges upon for the killing of wild horses and not managing what they say they're going to do? It's called uphold good faith yerma fides.
Right, and that is like a job description, right? For when you take over a job like that, you have been tasked with all sorts of things, and one of them is, from what I understand, is protecting. That's what this 1971 Act was designed around, is protecting these horses and managing them effectively to their benefit. And there's no benefit here that I can see. I believe that if we had a congressional investigation, people would be held to task. They would be brought up and they would have to sit in front of the cameras, in front of the Congress and the Senate, and have to answer, who came up with this idea?
Let's go to Karen right now, International Society of Mustangs and Burros. Karen, your take on this, dear?
Well, I think it's excellent, and I think it's very sad that there's 400 horses in Fallon right now, and it's going to be difficult to find homes for them. But if anybody can do it, it's this group in Nevada can do something to be able to help them. But I agree with Shannon. I think there should be a congressional investigation. The question is whether this Congress, this do-nothing Congress, would take a hold of this, and that's the real key. And I think the only way we can do it is to get millions of people. We have to get millions of people on our side. I think it's time for Hollywood to come to forbear, to bring attention to this. And I'd love to see Willie Nelson, Robert Redford, they're all involved. Bill Richardson, who's in New Mexico, and they've just formed their own organization down there to save the New Mexican horses. I think it's time that we solicit all of these people and we all come together for the aid of all the horses in our country.
You know, Karen, you're absolutely right, and I think there is something we can do on the internet. It's called We the People, and we can get on that right away and demand a congressional investigation. I don't know what we do here at a state level with these 450 horses, and there are babies and beautiful, nice fat horses. They've been nicely fattened for slaughter. These horses may be not savable, and I have not been able to sleep for months knowing about this. I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning saying, what in the world can we do? There are so many horses, and if we are able to get an investigation, stop these things, and if we are able to push through the idea of sustainable eco-sanctuaries in places where we can grow the hay, which is a program that Rich Cable has been working on. He's up talking to a rancher up above Susanville right now about donating a ranch. We are looking into all sorts of grants from USDA and so on to provide a place, at least one place, where if this model can be shown to work, we can stop this traffic in horse bodies. Horses are sacred animals. They should, even in the Bible, it says, you know, you can eat the split hoof, but the single hoofed animal is not to be eaten. I wrote a song about it called "Eating a Horse is Just Wrong."
Just wrong, just plain wrong. You know, I've got to share with you, Karen, the other thing I want to compliment Shannon Wendell, the Hidden Valley Wild Horse Protection Fund, along with Cindy Hartzell, even my wife at the Wainema Ranch Wild Horse Sanctuary, and especially Lacy-J-Dalton, Willis Lamb, and those who have really gone out of their way, not just to talk the talk, but to walk the walk, and to actually do things like this show that was created, Mustang Matters, to educate people who are listening. And when I say listening, we've had calls from not only Indiana, but Florida, Georgia, Texas, you name it. People care, and the reason why they care is because, like what you're doing, Karen, we are educating to the best of our ability, so it's such an honor to have you and your organization become a part of Mustang Matters as well. Karen, your take.
Well, I think it's excellent. I think that the more publicity that we can get out about wild horses and about the plight of all horses in our country, of course, the more people we educate. Education is the key to success. And that's what Wild Horse Annie was able to do over a long period, single-handedly, by the way. So if one person, I look at her and I think to myself, if one person can do that, and we, Lacey and Shannon and Cindy and Willis and I and everybody can get together and work together for the good of the whole, imagine all that energy and what we can affect. And that's what has to be done. It's a tough battle, but we can do it.
I think you're so right, Karen, and my friend Jean Marie Webster said the other day, she said, why don't we all together get together and hire a lobbyist? Every other interest group does, and I know that there are some out there, but maybe not someone working for multiple groups. There's a legend out there that the groups don't get along and can't get along. That's not true. We have a lot of groups here in Northern Nevada that get along just fine. And we have a lot of groups down in California that get along well with us, and in Texas, and all over the country. We need to pull together, and we need to do this. I think Shannon's idea for a congressional investigation, I think it's well and high time and past time that this happens. It's been proven that the BLM is not doing a good job managing, and maybe they're not the right people to do it. If we can privatize it and have their help, it takes the burden off the Bureau of Land Management, but they still have some control. Let's talk about working together. This is something that is not happening in America today. We are not working together in the Congress. We are not crossing that aisle and saying, let's work together. And when we do work together, when the Democrats and the Republicans reach across the aisle, come together, incredible things happen. That's how we got our animal abuse passed in this state. A Democrat and a Republican pulled together and got that passed. I'm talking to you legislators out there. I have asked for a meeting with Dean Heller. I hope that it will come through. What we are trying to do is be a resource. We are not trying to be troublemakers. But we do not believe in the slaughter of horses. The Obama administration does not believe in it, and Tom Vilsack at the USDA is not in support of it. And the American people overwhelmingly say this is wrong. Let's do something about it.
Amen, Lacy-J-Dalton. Shannon, we're going to come to you, and then we'll go to, if you don't mind, Joann Spotted Bear.
Absolutely. I just want to echo everything you said, Lacey. It's not right. We the people need to effect change. Not only do we need to educate the public, I think that's critical because as I've said many times, I didn't know all of this was going on, and it's the more I know, the more shocked I am. But I think more importantly, at this point, in for the plight of the American horse and burro across this country, we need to educate our governments about what is right and what is wrong. This is wrong. And whoever came up with the idea of simply pushing 1,000 wild horses onto tribal land from your public land and thought that that was appropriate, that person needs to be held to task and answer for it. Joann, how about you? What is your take on all of this?
Well, quite honestly, I'm very disappointed because here's why. The 1971 Act that you spoke of earlier is no different than the treaties. The treaty started in 1059 before Christ, and like Lacey said, in the Bible, in the 10 Commandments, on the 10th commandment, it says, thou shalt not take the ox or the donkey away from thy neighbor. Okay, when we talk on those levels, a treaty is supreme law of the land, and we need to get to the bottom of the root, and that is the root.
Thank you, Joann. I appreciate that, and I agree. We need to get back to the basics. We need to tell our government what is right, and we, as citizens, know what is right. Anybody who's looked a horse in the eye and can not walk away with a sense of peace and well-being, it's just an amazing feeling. And if, Lacey, how do you feel?
Well, I know that a lot of us, there are a lot of people out there that don't really care that much about horses, but there are more people who do care. 80% of us want and believe in the preservation and the protection of wild horses and all horses. We horses here in America are companion animals. They are not really livestock. And the fact is that this is America. We are the leader of the free world. Let's lead for a change. Let's lead. Let's pull together and let's lead. I am talking to you out there in government, in the Nevada Department of Agriculture, in the Bureau of Land Management, and our senators and everyone in the Congress. I am saying to you, this is a great wrong, and we need to address it, and we need to stop this great wrong, and we need to especially stop pushing this kind of thing onto the Indian peoples. It is so bad for their culture. Traditional Indian people in most tribes are so much against this because they believe the horse is sacred. For us to push our dirty work onto the Indian tribes, that's anathema.
Hideous.
It's
Wow.
hideous.
It's hideous. You heard it from Joann, Spotted Bear, Lakota. Now, I tell you what, we just have enough time. Karen, we'll start with you because you're on the phone. Give us your contact information so people can start getting involved and get a hold of you, and then we're going to go around the table with you, Shannon, right after Karen. Karen, thanks for being on Mustang Matters. We look forward to you next week. Tell people how to get a hold of you.
605-964-6866 or www.istmb.org.
Thank you so much, Karen. And Hidden Valley Wild Horse Protection Fund can be reached at www.hiddenvalleyhorses.com. And we've got Lacey's organization, totally critical to everything that we do. LetemRun.com.
Right back at you. Because Hidden Valley has 176 horses on the ground at the Wainema Ranch, where Eddie's wife is a huge part of taking care of them. And I want to thank everybody at Wainema, Cat and Chari and all the folks out there, Cindy, and Hidden Valley's whole thing with Shannon, really doing a great job.
All right, listeners, this has been Mustang Matters. We'll see you next week right here at 11 a.m. Reno Town Mall.